Coming up, a romp through Renaissance Florence.
A crime you probably didn't know existed.
And our distraction of the week. I'm Mel.
I'm Dave. This is the Library of Lost Time.
The French author Laurent Binet specializes in stories that take literary creative license with historical fiction. I should also mention that Sam Taylor, his translator, does a beautiful job adapting the stories from French into English.
So Laurent Binet wrote HHHH.
He did.
Which is one of your favorite books about Prague.
Yes.
And he works a little bit like Erik Larson, where he takes the truth and he makes it a compelling story. But I feel like Binet works in fiction and Larson works in nonfiction.
Yes.
But they're kind of friends that way.
Well, and Laurent Binet kind of takes a real story and jumps it into a completely different realm. For example, his last book, Civilizations, is an alternate world history in which the Incas conquer Europe instead of vice versa.
I mean, yeah, that's going far into the fiction world.
Yeah. And as you already mentioned, HHHH tells the story of the assassination of Reinhard Heydrich in Prague in 1942. And that one really plays with literary form. The chapters are really short. There's 275 of them, I think. One of them is one sentence. And that book takes the form of a memoir that's being written by an author who is writing the book about the assassination. So things get a little literary.
Yeah, so he sort of walks in the world of experimental literary fiction at the same time he's walking in the world of nonfiction topics.
Yes.
Which makes him very interesting.
Yes. I will also say very readable. I recognize that the descriptions I'm saying can sound a little heady or intimidating or precious, and they're not.
Yeah.
Super readable from the first page. You are in it. He is a storyteller while he's playing with the form. He has a new book out.
Okay.
And this time, it's a bit cheeky and gossipy. When it came out in France, some people were upset that it wasn't harder to read. They were upset that he'd written a popular novel.
Yeah, that's funny.
He continues to write things that are very intelligent, but this one is maybe a little bit more playful.
Okay.
He is taking us to Renaissance Florence for a literary murder mystery. The story begins on New Year's Day, 1557. An artist named Jacopo da Pontormo is found dead in the chapel of San Lorenzo under the frescoes he's been painting for 11 years.
Wow.
The poor man has taken a hammer to the head and a chisel to the heart.
It's almost poetic.
The Duke of Florence, Cosimo de' Medici, that name might ring a bell?
Sure, of the Medici family.
Yes. He orders an investigation. And that investigation winds up including a missing painting, a group of nuns who complain about not having enough wine, secret passages, and a wily detective. And that all sounds like maybe too much to stuff into one book. Except that I know how much I love the way Laurent Binet puts sentences together. So I read that and I was just like, yes.
Yeah. Everybody else get out of my way. I've got to get to this book now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What would you say if I said there's more
to the story?
It's an epistolary novel.
Oh.
So the story unfolds in letters that are flying fast and furious around Italy. And some of them are written by real historical figures, including more members of the de' Medici family, Michelangelo, and someone I'd not heard of before, Benvenuto Cellini, who was a goldsmith, sculptor, and adventurer. According to the New York Times Review, the letters are like little set pieces, and they each have a different style and tone. The detective writes kind of flowery reports back to the Duke. One of the Medicis is a teenager, so her letters are filled with what the New York Times calls youthful ardor. And there's overly pious cattiness from the nuns.
That all sounds very promising.
I'm not done yet.
Okay.
The chocolate sprinkles on top of the whipped cream on top of the sundae.
Yeah.
The book opens with 2 maps, and the preface is a framing device that's written in the guise of a 19th century narrator explaining that the book's letters were found in an antique shop in Tuscany.
That's awesome.
So by now you can probably tell I cannot wait to go on this wild ride through Florence with Laurent Binet at the wheel. The book is Perspectives, and it's out now.
I've got a book that also blends historical fiction and a little bit of mystery, and sort of unexpectedly a deep dive into the illegal egg trade.
The illegal egg trade?
Yeah. Yeah, like the criminals behind museum-quality bird eggs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes. I didn't know that was a thing until I found this book, and now I can't stop thinking about it.
Tell me more, right?
Yeah. The book is called The Impossible Thing. It's by a Welsh author, Belinda Bauer. The story moves between two timelines. So first, we're on the cliffs of Yorkshire in the 1920s, where a group of people are collecting seabird eggs. And they are doing that the old-fashioned and frankly terrifying way by tying ropes around their waists and rappelling down sheer rock faces to reach nests tucked into craggy cliffside ledges. No. I say no.
Yeah, that reminds me a little bit of the massive bird hunt in that Peter May book, The Black House, where
Yes.
they go to this rocky island and do crazy dangerous stuff to get to the birds on the cliffs.
Yes, exactly that. So during one of these trips, a young girl discovers a rare red egg, and that moment, the discovery sets off a chain of events that ripples across the decades. Cut to present-day Wales.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Fort, who's an endearing, compelling, neurodivergent protagonist. He's biking home from his job as a dishwasher. He passes the home of his friend, Weird Nick. Everybody calls him Weird Nick.
I love Weird Nick already.
Yeah. And something feels off at the house. Patrick goes in. He finds Weird Nick and Nick's mother tied up. They are victims of a break-in. And here's the twist. The only thing that's missing is a carved wooden box containing a scarlet egg.
Mm-hmm.
Weird Nick recently tried to sell the egg on eBay, but he pulled the listing when he realized it might be just a little illegal to do that, but not before somebody else noticed. So Patrick and Weird Nick get curious, and that launches them into the shadowy world of egg collecting, an actual black market with serious stakes and a history that stretches back 100 years. If you're in the mood for a story that weaves together suspense and quirky characters and a bit of natural history and the rough and tumble life on the cliffs of Yorkshire in the 1920s, this one's for you. It's dark, it's funny, it's got heart. By the end, you'll never look at a bird's nest the same way again. It just came out 2 weeks ago. It's The Impossible Thing by Belinda Bauer.
And now, our distraction of the week.
If you've been listening to us for a while, you probably know that we live in Prague, and just a short walk from our apartment, there's a park. We have visited that park hundreds of times. That park is one of the reasons why we live where we do. We walk there at least twice a week, usually more, and we've done that for the last 8 years. Now, it probably won't surprise you to hear that there are trees in this park. And here's the thing. After all these years, I have formed relationships with some of those trees.
It's true.
Right? There's the one with the pink blossoms in spring. One of my favorite pictures of Mel is from under that tree. There's the one that dropped a seed pod on me once while I was running past. There's the one where we saw that baby black squirrel and so on.
Do you remember the one that got blown down in the storm?
Yeah.
R.I.P. tree.
Yeah.
Also, one time the day of Halloween, we walked into the park and there was a tree next to the rotunda that's been there for hundreds of years, and it was only raining under that tree.
Yes.
What?
It sounds like madness, but in fact, that tree was raining and we couldn't figure out why.
And we investigated as much as we could.
Yeah.
There was no explanation.
Yeah.
It was just raining under one tree.
Yes.
If somebody knows what was happening, please tell us. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So for ages, I have wondered, what kinds of trees are these? My tree knowledge is limited. I can identify a maple and an oak if it has acorns at the time, and a willow and a chestnut, that kind of thing.
And
but
Christmas trees.
Christmas trees. But beyond that, I'm making up names. There's Chester Scratchy Bark and Woody Greenleaf and Trianse. At one point, I even bought a book thinking I'd bring it to the park and identify the trees myself. That was very ambitious of me. Friends, I did not do that. That book still sits mostly untouched on my shelf. But this week, everything changed. I found an app. It's called Seek. It's by a company called iNaturalist. Think of it like Shazam, but for nature. Shazam, of course, is the app where you can play any kind of music and Shazam will immediately tell you what you're listening to. With Seek, you open the app and you turn on your camera and you point it at a plant or a mushroom or a bug or a bird, and it tells you what you're looking at in seconds. So you get a name, you get a few quick facts. If you're curious, you can go deeper. There's taxonomy and natural range and rarity in your area, where other people have spotted that thing. It's magic. Thanks to Seek, I now know that our park has black pines and silver birches and Norway maples. The tree with the pink blossoms is a Japanese cherry tree. It is not native to this region, by the way. And the closest one to the north is north of Berlin.
Huh, cool.
Yeah.
We should go visit it.
We should, yeah. I've also learned the names of the flowers. There's tulips and lawn daisies and sweet violets, and my favorite snowdrop anemones. They're very cute. They have little tiny white flowers. The app even identifies birds and insects. We spotted a European firebug the other day. And you don't have to be a scientist or a hardcore nature nerd to enjoy this. You just point it and go. It does feel like it might be a gateway drug, though, so be careful. Also, the app doesn't require an account, and it's privacy-friendly. And emotionally, it does something special. Now, I'm not just taking a walk, I'm meeting the world around me, right? I'm learning its many names, and the app fosters curiosity and attention and a little wonder. So, if you enjoy wandering through the woods, or even if you just want to know what that weird plant in the sidewalk is, Seek might just turn your next walk into a little adventure. It is free, it's fun, it's available on iPhone and Android. This sounds like a paid ad. It is not. I just like the app a lot. Try it out. You will be amazed at what you've been walking past this whole time.
Visit strongsenseofplace.com/library for more on the books we talked about today and how you can download the app that will introduce you to the magic in your neighborhood.
Thanks for joining us in the Library of Lost Time. Remember to visit your local library and your independent bookstore to lose some time yourself.
Stay curious. We'll talk to you soon.